This is a Gato Consulting production. Strategy for action, analysis wrap up, and competitive advantage. The Boston Consulting Group invented this model a while ago to get an appreciation for the portfolio of businesses within an organization and their ability to sustain cash flow and the company's strategy in the future. Usually, people that are familiar with the BCG matrix think that they can intuitively identify the stars, question marks, cash cows, and dogs in this portfolio. But my experience has been that they are often surprised, if not in denial, after the proper variables of the model are considered. I am not saying this should be applied blindly, but it can be eye-opening to know what businesses the model suggests you discard, invest on, milk, or just analyze and keep a close leash on. And it's not just the dogs, by the way. And usually, there are learnings on how you can try to move businesses into better positions to secure cash flow in the future. This next part has become trivialized, but it is very important in starting to strategize and creating an action plan, and should be done carefully. We've been compiling a list of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We ought to put it together in a SWOT analysis. The problem with the traditional SWOT analysis is that it often begs the question, what now? We will do things differently. So, here is a new and improved SWOT. We will start by applying some filters that the framework has, and we will select the main opportunities. One of the differences of this SWOT is that we will classify each opportunity in terms of short-term and long-term. We want to make sure that we keep an eye on future opportunities and we set your company to pursue them. And we will also line up the main threats and weaknesses we need to work on, as well as the strengths that we need to maintain. The other different aspect of this SWOT is that we will write down actionable items for each relevant point in this matrix. Remember, we have an action plan to create later. Kudos here again to Professor Adrienne Frey. Now, we will look at these suggestions and we will prioritize and consolidate the suggestions. This will be very valuable to the action plan.
We're at the end of the analysis part of Strategy for Action. And I'd like to give you a glimpse of some of the secret and detailed techniques, questionnaires, and discussion scripts that the framework uses. For instance, here's the template for the market survey. It has questions about awareness, to establish your market share and that of your competitors, to determine the reputation and NPS of your firm and your rivals, and to try to find new customer needs and opportunities for differentiation. On the topic of suppliers in the 5 forces model, we have no less than 4 tools to scrutinize it, and we will end with the SWOT just for suppliers. Each topic will have its own SWOT because we will look for opportunities, threats, weaknesses, and strengths everywhere. I promise, no stones unturned. Sometimes we will use standard tools, like in the case of the competing values framework, as we establish the type of culture in your company. One of the key deliverables is the summarized SWOT, after prioritizing and filtering through the SWOTs of each topic. And by the way, the SWOT will keep evolving through the rest of the Strategy for Action work. For now, please join me as we try to get to the most important concept in business strategy and what a very important person has to say about it.
Well, we are now at the point when we must start putting our thoughts together and make sense of the important things. What are really our strengths? And of those, which are core competencies? Are they different from those of our competitors? And do they matter to our customers and to our bottom line? Do they generate a competitive advantage? One that can be sustained? Competitive advantage, a concept developed by Michael Porter, is one of the most important concepts in strategy. In my view, it is the most important concept in strategy. Competitive advantage is a competence that puts a company in a favorable or superior business position. A true competitive advantage should secure a large, stable market share and high returns on capital.
It's about finding something that your target market values and doing it in a way that is different, better, and that has good profitability.
Here is a simple way to put it. By Bruce Greenwald, Columbia Business School. Competitive advantage means being able to do what competitors cannot. So, do you have some competitive advantage? As we reflect on these 3 important things, we will uncover the most important strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. All these things must combine in what's called strategic fit. And we will come to the realization of whether or not there is a good strategic fit in your company. Said differently, is there alignment between critical success factors, your core competencies, company resources, and your current strategy? Is everyone on the same page and paddling in the same direction? Ask yourself, does it feel right? We'll start listing the main breaking points or weaknesses and the gap to form a true competitive advantage. Why is competitive advantage so important? Well, you don't have to take it from me. Take it from Warren Buffett, arguably the greatest investor of all time. Buffett has been pointing its importance for 4 decades. There are dozens of references and videos of him talking about it. Here's the first one I could find from 1984 in his famous annual letter to investors, referring to his Geico insurance company. Sometimes Buffett compares a business to a castle and the competitive advantage to a moat around it. In this 1995 reference, he gives example of what a moat or competitive advantage could be. Quote, a low-cost producer in some area, a natural franchise, a business with certain service capabilities. It can be because of its position in the consumer's mind, or because of a technological advantage. End quote. Michael Porter would add, it could be a unique combination of competencies or activities in the value chain. In 2000, he recognizes Michael Porter and him think alike in terms of competitive advantage. He often mentions it as the most important thing. Quote, we try to buy businesses where, no matter who comes along, they've got this durable competitive advantage. Those are the 3 words that count. End quote. In 2008, when listing the top 4 goals for Berkshire Hathaway, when it comes to what he wants to do for his companies, he says his goal is widening their competitive advantage. And he continues to mention it. I'll let you listen for yourself. It's very important to keep this in mind before our next video when we start strategizing.
Whether you're going to make an investment in a company or whether you're going to buy the company, what are the factors that you're looking for? What test?
I'm looking for durable competitive advantage. I'm looking for something that has a moat around it for a considerable period of time.
Michael Porter said that strategy is the search for a favorable competitive position in an industry and stems from the many distinctive activities a firm performs. All advantage can be connected to specific activities and the way the activities relate to each other. In summary, competitive advantage is consolidated through a unique combination of activities, and these can be analyzed through the value chain. Some examples. Apple has a tremendous combination of 1. Extraordinary product development and marketing, 2. Logistics that appear in as much case studies as Walmart, and 3. The fact they really invented and have stayed ahead with a phenomenal developers network. Another example. Procter & Gamble in the early 2000s outsourced most of the support activities that were not specific or critical to them, actually giving rise to one of the biggest service companies in the world, EDS, and they did it while raising the satisfaction of the employees involved, by the way. This further allowed them to focus on R&D, operations, marketing, and sales. The great logistics hub system Walmart invented, and how it reinvented itself as a great online and brick-and-mortar retailer. To use the local example now, our Accelerate Sports has figured out a way to keep an indoor sports complex in the Northeast full all the time by reaching out to different activities, creating tournaments, not just for sports like basketball, softball, and soccer, but reaching out to remote control car racers, wrestling, boxing, and other events. Accelerate Sports has really become better at sales outreach. Our H&R Block combined online and physical services. L'Oreal's R&D and sales and marketing. SiriusXM and its unique distribution. The consistency of McDonald's operations. Zappos service. Well, you get the picture. Bruce Greenwald is probably one of the 2 greatest promoters of value investing, along of course with Warren Buffett, both in the school of Graham and Dodd, for those that appreciate the history of value investing. According to him, you can only create competitive advantage through one of 3 things: creating proprietary technology, amassing economies of scale, or reinforcing customer captivity. These are the only things that really create a moat around and protecting your business. Intellectual property comes in many shapes and forms. With creativity, a bit of luck, or maybe a stroke of genius, it can secure from millions to billions. Exxon is, of course, the largest non-state-owned oil company in the world, and because of its focus in hydrocarbons, its margins per barrel are better than anyone else's. One associates economies of scale with giants, but that's not always the case. Lidestri, a Rochester, New York company, created the Ragu pasta brand in the 70s and then sold it to Unilever. But they kept doing pasta by packing other national brands such as Barilla and Newman's Own and private label retail brands. Glassdoor shows them having a sales volume between $500 million to $1 billion. Several internet sources report the pasta sauce market in the US to have been around $2.4 billion in 2022, and this is at retail values. Lidestri is surely the largest pasta sauce company in the US. It has built economies of scale through the years. Their website says that their list of private label customers includes some of the best known and well-respected retailers. One can only be the private label supplier of choice to the largest retailers in the nation by having a great cost structure. Customer captivity is somewhat the end-all, win-all of competitive advantage. Here, we will use Gillette's example. Gillette's competitive advantage started actually with patents on great blades. Then, its dominance allowed for economies of scale, further fueled by its acquisition by Procter & Gamble. They kept coming up with great products like the ProGlide, Fusion 5, the exfoliating bar, and the brand new heated razor. Whether you have a competitor blade or already have a Gillette, like more than half of the men in the world do, if you do change your razor, it will likely be to a Gillette. That's how you create customer captivity. Not to mention the fact that you have to buy the specific blades that will actually fit into the razor handle. That's how they hook you in. Warren Buffett owned Gillette from 1989 to 2005, and he continues to own a piece of it under Procter & Gamble. Let's listen to him being interviewed by Charlie Rose and explaining Gillette's competitive advantage.
This goes back to the patent for the razor. This is 70 years ago, roughly, on that particular razor.
And how did Gillette come about, and why did you decide to get involved in Gillette?
Well, Gillette, here's a company that after 100 years of being in the razor and blade business, has 70% or so of the value of razors and blades throughout the world. Now, when you have that kind of permanent advantage, obviously, with the consumer, it's not going to go away in a few years. And it's not going to go away in decades. I mean, this is a company that really has something.
This meets the Buffett.
It meets the test. It meets the durable competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Well, when I sleep at night, I know that hair is growing on the faces of billions of men around the world, and that hair is growing on twice as many legs of women around the world.
Before we go, a reminder to go to the toolset page of our website. It has all the tools that support this video and will allow you to implement the framework. www.strategyforaction.com/toolset. This is a Gato Consulting production. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe. There are plenty of new videos coming up.